Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to my Metallica Discography review. This is part 2, the 90s. Now, if you've not seen part 1, click the fedora. If you want to skip ahead to part 3, click the TV. But in this part, I will be covering what some would say is Metallica's weakest decade, aside from the fact that they only put out 2 albums in the next part, in the next decade. But, I kind of agree. I'll have certain things to say that some might not about the Metallica albums in this decade. There are 5 albums that I'm going to be covering in this part, so why don't we go ahead and get started? And the first album they released in the 90s, and their 5th album overall, is called, technically it's self-titled. I've never heard it referred to as self-titled. Most call it the Black Album. I'm going to call it the Black Album. I don't have this on vinyl, but I have it on cassette, and we have 2 copies of it on CD in this house. Needless to say, I love this album. This album got a lot of rotation of play. This, Justice, and Puppets got a lot of rotation when I was a kid. This has my favorite Metallica song overall, with Wherever I May Roam. That's pretty much my anthem to me. Seeing as how I grew up on the road and all that shit, but I talk about that in another video that I have to re-edit. And some flack this album is not really having any thrash songs, really only having 2 being Holier Than Thou and Through the Never. But, I like this album. It does definitely show a change, even in comparison to And Justice for All. Again, bass isn't really heard on this album. It is at some points, but, I mean, what can you do? That's just kind of what they did. This has their most popular song, Enter Sandman, a lot of their really popular songs, Unforgiven, Nothing Else Matters, Sad But True. Almost everybody knows those songs. They're really popular Metallica songs. They have that really, really big sound, except for Unforgiven and Nothing Else Matters. They have a lot, they just kind of, they put their big sound through a funnel for this album, basically. You know, a lot of bigger open riffs, like of Wolf and Man, kind of on My Friend of Misery, I mean, I love it. I think it's great, even though it's not really thrashy. I guess it might be nostalgic for me just because I grew up with this album. But this album turns 20 this year, which also is astounding. I fucking love this album. I mean, solos, solid. This is when Kirk kind of gets into his bendy phase and solos, because that's something that's very prevalent in these albums. He loves to bend on the solos, which I don't have a problem with. It's not as annoying or repetitive as some would say for some bands. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, it's fantastic. I think it's amazing. True, it's different, but it's still fucking great. My favorite song is Wherever I May Roam. And the next album they released was called Load, and that was released in 1996. And this album tears Metallica fans. There's some that love it, and some that hate it. I'm with the latter. Yeah, the latter. I hate it. To me, it sounds like they hired Aerosmith to write the riffs for this album. There's a lot of bluesier influence on the guitar. I just don't like it. It has its moments, but overall, I really don't dig this album. I gave it very little listens to give it a review. It has some of the funniest parts of their career, like Ain't My Bitch. How he says, bitch, is just funny. When you write a country song, you really lose me. Mama Said, not the strongest ballad. I fucking hate that song. That song was hell to listen to. I get why James wrote it, and I respect why he wrote it. I just don't like it at all. I think this album hits its weird points with Until It Sleeps. It has some cheesy moments, like in King Nothing, with the end kind of adding that Inner Sandman line off the Never Never Land, kind of cheesy. Hero of the Day being this very soft song that kind of annoys me. Some of these songs just drag on, like The Outlaw Torn. I mean, some of these songs, like I said, have their moments, but just a lot of these songs didn't do it for me. The guitar work is too different for me, and while I praise band's experimentation and I respect them for making this album, it's not for me at all. I know there are Metallica fans out there that love these albums. I just don't love this album. Not much does it for me. If I had to pick a favorite song, it's probably... It's tough to pick for me. I mean, some of the songs I didn't completely hate listening to. House Jet Jackboat wasn't bad. 2x4 wasn't completely terrible. Yeah. That's about all I got, people. If you wanted more for me to say about Load, I got nothing for you. I'm sorry. I do not like this album at all. And the next album they released is called Reload, and that was released back in 1997, and basically what they did was they took the southern riffs from the last album and put out the weird stuff. I made them weird, because they recorded Load and Reload in the same time frame, and it was a double album, and out of the two, I like this one more. It has some more songs going for it. The riffs just sound better. Like Devil's Dance, I like that song quite a bit. Fuel, I fucking love Fuel. My favorite's actually probably a tie between Fuel and this one, Where the Wild Things Are. But like the last album, this album just has some moments that just, I just didn't really like. Low Man's Lyric, Fixer, drug on way too long. I mean, normally Metallica, I don't mind when they write long songs, but these songs on here, like those two, just too long for me. They should have focused more on the shorter stuff, because, I mean, God, they sound weird. Like, I can't really sum up much else. I mean, I don't really like these albums. I mean, I'm going to be biased. I don't like them. Of course, that's my opinion. I think James sounds weird vocally at some points. It doesn't have my least favorite Metallica song. That's the benefit this album has over Load, because I really don't like Mama Said, but yeah. There's not much praise I can give this album. Some of the riffs are solid, some good headbanging moments. But other than that, I got nothing else. I mean, they do a weird turn after this, and studio-wise, but I mean, other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. You'll probably see Fuel linked in the other thingy, because I like that song a little bit more than this one. They're about the same, but I mean, The Unforgiven 2 seems like, kind of like King Nothing, just seems like a cheesy add-on, unlike The Unforgiven 3, but I'll talk about that in the next part. Yeah, this album just leaves a weird taste in my mouth, like Load did. Yeah. And the next album they released was kind of an album. It was a covers album, called Garage Inc., which was released back in 1998. And this had the Garage Inc. album from back in the day, packaged with a bunch of other covers that they did. They cover everything from Leonard Skinner to King Diamond on this thing. I mean, so many fantastic covers. They cover fucking Queen and do a fantastic job. Probably my favorite Queen cover is Stone Cold Crazy, Whiskey in the Jar, bringing that style of Load and Reload, along with Tuesday's Gone, and Turn the Page, but do it well. Like, they show the roots from those albums, and they just fucking rip on some points in this album. You know, you have Free Speech for the Dumb being just this kind of basic but very heavy song in comparison to the last two releases. I love this covers album, if you couldn't tell. They cover Motorhead. They cover just a bunch of great stuff. Some of my favorite covers on here, I'll leave multiple ones in the end thinking, because there's a variety of stuff I like on here. Die Die My Darling, and The Last Caress Green Hell cover by the Misfits. I love the Small Hours cover. That's probably my absolute favorite on here. I love the Stone Cold Crazy cover. They show that they can cover songs very well and make them their own, because this does not sound like Queen at all. In fact, I didn't know it was a Queen song at first. I was surprised when I found out it was a Queen song, and then I heard the original and I was like, holy shit. I mean, this just sounds so fucking good. Am I Evil's another cover that's going to be linked in the other thingy. Instrumentation is solid. James and the rest of the band sound great. Love this album. If you have the money, pick it up. If you want to hear Metallica do some kick-ass covers, check it out. Love it. Yeah. I guess let's move on. That's pretty much all I had to say. Love the way it sounds. Some may surprise you if you've never heard it before, like Stone Cold Crazy. And Astronomy, covering Blue Oyster Cult. Kind of interesting move. I mean, I know they like that band, and I know the song's over, but I still have more stuff to say. It's interesting to hear them cover those bands, because they just sound different, but not in a bad way. Like, it's hard for me to describe. I mean, I love this double cover album. Tons of great covers on here. Pick it up. Solid work. Yeah. And the last album I'm going to cover in this video, this part, is the live album they did called S&M, which stands for Symphony and Metallica. And I don't normally talk about live albums on here. I think I prefaced that in a few discography reviews. But like the Unplugged album by Korn, this is a different album for them to do. They took the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra and put their songs to life with a symphony. It only makes sense that they would do this. I wish they would do it again, because they do a lot of load and reload on this album, and I wish they didn't, but the ones that aren't that sound great. The Cthulhu on here sounds like that song was made for a symphony. You have two original songs, Minus Human and No Leaf Clover, both of which fantastic. This album this double live album just represents what Metallica's sound tries to achieve in a way, because they try to make that big sound, and this is about as big as you could fucking get. A fucking symphony. I mean, it's fantastic. My favorite songs on it, which, loved hearing that with the symphony. You even have Kirk playing a sitar on the song. It brings the concert experience of Metallica to you with a fantastic addition of a symphony. The songs, even on Load and Reload, like they did Fuel. Fuel sounds great on here. Devil's Dance sounds great. It represents the direction they even wanted to go in those albums. Tons of great, just awesome sounds with the symphony. They don't follow the band's instrumentation. They do their own instrumentation that was probably composed by James and them. And it enhances their music. It doesn't just add to the music. It's not like those string tribute covers that do what the instruments do. They do their own thing while Metallica plays their songs. And it adds another element to the songs that you wouldn't think was there. And like on Master of Puppets, there's some points where you would think they would follow the instrumentation. No, they do their own thing. They add their own sort of epicness to the songs, if you will. And yeah, I can't see some of these songs the same. Like, one, I sometimes just love hearing the symphonics behind that song, even when I'm listening to the studio version. I picture, like, the during the darkness section, I hear the symphony behind the studio version, and it sounds great. I wish they did this again with some other songs that were missed on here, like Creeping Death would have been nice to hear. Some of the newer songs, like Cyanide or Broken Beat and Scarred would be cool to hear with a symphony. Yeah, I mean, I fucking love this album. I think it's great. That pretty much sums up part 2. If you'd like to see part 3, right there. Again, part 1, right there. If you do not want to join me in those parts, you guys have good days, life situations, and I will see you another day.